Hello and welcome back to the Movie Memo Recaps. Today we are going to recap a 2020 movie titled The Tax Collector. Please be advised that there will be spoilers ahead. In the opening scene, we are introduced to a husband and wife, David and Alexis, in their bedroom. Alexis wakes up from a terrible dream about their two children. Knowing that his wife is very worried, David tries to calm her down, saying that it was all just a dream. Shortly after, their daughter enters the room to wake them up. She requests that her parents take a shower and get ready, as today is a significant day. Alexis' family is expected to gather at their house to celebrate her niece's 15th birthday. The celebration is important for the birthday girl because the age marks a transition from childhood to adolescence. After having breakfast with his family, David rushes to work at an electronics store, where he hires his cousin, a woman named Lupe. However, he is often annoyed with her because she throws wild parties with her friends at the shop, making the place a mess. He threatens to fire her, but she doesn't change her behavior. Not long after, a man named Creeper arrives there. Creeper is David's best friend and partner at work. As they prepare to depart, Victor, a recently promoted gangster, leads a group of thugs. Despite being the chief gangster, Victor looks submissive and disdainful of David and Creeper, as both are known to be the most dangerous gangsters in the area. Victor informs them about the frequent bullying and belittling of his gang by other gangs, and requests their cooperation in resolving the issue. As usual, Victor transfers the tax dues to them, emphasizing that local gangs in the West are required to do so in order for their businesses to operate smoothly, safely, and under control. David then emphasizes that all local gangs in the West must submit to them, obey them, and submit a tax contribution of 30% of the total profit every month. They are the tax collectors and law enforcement officials who collect some of the business profits of 43 local gangs in the West for their boss, the Wizard, who runs his sprawling criminal enterprise from behind bars. They don't hesitate to slaughter anyone who disobeys or plans a rebellion. Afterwards, David and Creeper pay a visit to David's uncle, Louis, to verify Victor's payment. While the Wizard was in prison, Louis took over his powers temporarily. He manages his business, which includes setting tax dues and collection due dates for all the gangs in their area, while David and Creeper are tasked with collecting gang tax payments scattered throughout the city. As they carry out their duties, David frequently discusses his happy family and teases Creeper, who remains single despite his advanced age. However, Creeper doesn't seem interested in committing to any woman, even though David often sets Creeper up with some lovely women he knows. Upon arriving at the gangsters' headquarters, they promptly collect the 30% tax due, as previously agreed upon. The gangsters appear fearful and obedient to David, particularly after he threatens to cut off their heads if they don't comply with his order to cease disrupting Victor's gang. During their visit to the other gang members' headquarters, they witness the torture of a man from the Bloods gang, who had slept with his girlfriend. However, David orders them to release the man, stating that the kidnapping and torture could spark a war between the gangs, which would be extremely costly for both sides. Upon hearing this, the gang members finally comprehend and comply with his orders. They then drive the man to the Bloods' headquarters, where they later meet the group's leader, a man named Bone. David tells Bone that what happened to one of his men was personal and had nothing to do with power or business between gangs. After receiving an explanation from David, Bone expresses gratitude, realizing that if a seemingly trivial incident escalates into a war, their business would face significant disruption and significant losses. They continue their work and visit a gangster, who uses his clothing store as a cover to run an illegal business. Upon their arrival, the man promptly hands over the cash for his monthly tax dues. However, the man's words infuriate Creeper to such an extent that he points a gun towards him. David cuts them off and calms Creeper down, telling him not to act hastily. David then gets a call from his wife, who asks him to come to a clothing store immediately. It turns out that Alexis had asked her husband to intimidate the shop owner, who was reluctant to sell the dress to her niece, even though her niece really likes it and wants to wear it on her birthday. Without thinking, David immediately complies with Alexis' request so that her niece gets the dress she wants. Following this, David and Creeper recommence their work, ensuring its completion. That night, when David and Alexis are counting all the money that they had collected from the gangs, they immediately realize that the money that Victor had deposited did not match the predetermined amount and is still $20,000 short. David gets instantly angry, but Alexis tries to calm him down. That night, David and Creeper immediately go to Victor's house to confront him for disobeying the rules. Victor tells his wife to take the remaining money hidden in the refrigerator. When David is about to shoot Victor, he confesses that he needs the money to pay for his daughter's leukemia treatment. Victor then displays some photos of his daughter receiving treatment at the hospital. David, who is also a father, understands the problems faced by Victor, decides not to take the money and tells Creeper to get out of there immediately. On the way home, David gets a message from his uncle, telling him to collect tax dues of $200,000 from a gangster named Venom right away. Without thinking, they rush to Venom's place. A woman named Gata greets them upon their arrival and promptly takes them to meet Venom. Upon their arrival, Venom pulls out a wad of cash intended for tax contributions. However, when Creeper is about to take the money, Venom stops him, saying that it's not for them. Soon after, a man named Kojo enters the room and declares that Venom will only pay taxes to him from now on. Kojo also says that soon all gangsters in the West will pay taxes only to him. Upon hearing this, David attempts to maintain his composure and encourages Creeper to leave, pointing out that the area is teeming with armed Kojo henchmen, and they are unlikely to prevail against them all. On the way home, Creeper appears both annoyed and excited, anticipating an impending fierce battle. He appears to genuinely long for the days when they frequently engaged in combat, as he has recently become disinterested in his work. However, David asks Creeper to remain calm and devise the perfect strategy to deal with Kojo, who is not a random person but the leader of a criminal organization that controls the East. They then meet with Louis, recounting everything that transpired at Venom's place, including Koneho's involvement. Louis says that all gangsters in the East are very submissive and afraid of Kojo because he is a very cruel and dangerous man. Kojo used to be very submissive to the wizard, but after the wizard's imprisonment, he took action and set out to dominate the entire West. David suggests that they slaughter Kojo and his henchmen. But instead Louis wants to hold a vote on whether they will attack Kojo and his henchmen or make peace with him. When David and Alexis throw a big party at their house to celebrate Alexis's niece's birthday, Louis arrives and informs David that he and Kojo will meet. At this meeting, Kojo will apologize for disturbing their peace and promise to leave the West soon. Hearing this, David is relieved because there will be no bloodshed like he had been worried about. After Louis leaves, David dances with his wife and has a wonderful time. However, around midnight, Gata unexpectedly arrives at the party and asks David to check his cell phone before telling him and Creeper to go to a nightclub. Once there, they meet up with Kojo and Gata. David immediately asks the whereabouts of his uncle, to which Kojo tells him that he had killed Louis and shows them his severed head. David is trying to contain himself, even though he looks very angry. Kojo offers to cooperate with them and promises a much bigger profit if they both agree to join his gang. Kojo then clenches his fist and asks David to kiss all the rings to show that he has joined his group. It's evident that David is unwilling to comply with Koneho's request, and he promptly departs with Creeper. Their refusal turns out to be a severe slap for Kojo. The next day, they gather the gangsters who are still loyal to them and devise a plan to attack Kojo and his henchmen. However, during the meeting, Gata and Koneho's henchmen unexpectedly launch an attack, prompting the gangsters, including David, who is concerned for his family's safety, to attempt self-preservation. On the other hand, Koneho's henchmen manage to slaughter all of David's men and capture Creeper. Meanwhile, David rushes to escape and picks up Alexis at work, intending to take her to safety. On the way, he gets a video call showing Gata hammering Creeper's leg, and Kojo stomps him to death. David looks furious, but he can't do anything to help Creeper. David and Alexis then pick up their children at school. He takes Alexis to a hotel to secure her, where she requests that he refrain from fighting Kojo in light of the previous events. He complies with his wife's request and promises to take his family away and start a new life. But before that, he has a few tasks to complete, such as sending their children to his sister Delia, where they feel relatively safe, and going to Lupe's house to pick up some supplies. When he arrives at Lupe's house, he tells her to leave because it's unsafe. He goes into the backyard and starts digging to find the $2 million in cash he had stored there. Lupe then asks where he got that much money. He reveals that the money resulted from a robbery he did with Creeper 9 years ago. After putting all the money in the suitcase, he rushes back to the hotel to meet Alexis. However, the news of Alexis's death shocks him. Racked with deep sadness and grief, he receives news that his children have disappeared. Kojo then calls David and gives him 2 hours to come to him with a ransom. In a state of urgency, David goes to see Bone and says that all his henchmen have died because Kojo intends to dominate the West. Not only that, but he also confides in Bone about his wife and children, leaving him with no alternative but to seek his assistance in saving his children. Bone is also willing to assist David, rallying his minions to launch an attack on Kojo. David, Bone and the Blood Gangsters attack a drug house, kill Koneho's henchmen, interrogate one of Koneho's men, dragging his face on the ground from a moving car, and kill him after discovering the location of David's children. They finally arrive at the scene and find his children safe, with no one there except Koneho's grandmother, who tells him where Kojo has been hiding. At the hideout, David successfully strangles a guard, and Bone, on the verge of arrest, manages to kill two of Koneho's men. David then breaks into Koneho's room, where he kills Gata. David and Koneho then engage in a fierce battle. Koneho first presses and seriously injures David, but David turns the tide and brutally kills Koneho. Bone, who manages to survive, takes David away from there. When Bone suggests to David that he treat his wound, David instead asks him to step aside and contact Wizard, who is none other than his father. David tells Wizard all that has happened, but Wizard instead congratulates him for having succeeded in becoming the ruler of all the mafia in Mexico after killing Koneho. However, David apparently refuses to follow in his father's footsteps and hangs up. Thank you for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.